about religion. I'd like to have it on record. Frank and I discussing whatever religion today.
Religion vis-a-vis science. But when you're in school, you're fed the story. I went to a Catholic school, so the indoctrination starts when you're young.
Yeah,
it starts with your parents because they they were indoctrinated. And you are told that this is it and this is what you're supposed to believe. But do you actually believe it, or do you continue to wonder about it? And you question it.
I always wondered about it.
Yeah,
for sure. I was always like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have a lot to compare it to because it was my whole framework.
Yeah.
And it was very doctrinaire, very like, if you don't believe this, you're gonna burn in hell. So
you're gonna burn in hell.
That's a harsh way to grow up. Kind of scary.
But when you think back about the emergence of humankind on this planet, was there a Garden of Eden? Was there Adam and Eve? Is the Earth only 6,000 years old? Come on. Let's get real.
It was only later for me that I started questioning, but just because of all the stuff I was learning in school about science and history, and you're telling me the Earth is 6,000 years old. How does that jibe with evolution and the dinosaurs? Like, when did the dinosaurs exist?
Yeah.
And I started asking these questions when I was young, in the single digits, well, where were the dinosaurs? And I think my parents, somebody told me, well, they were there when Adam and Eve and everybody was around. And I was like, well, why weren't they mentioned in the Bible? And then I think maybe there may have been a pastor who taught on. I was like, oh, that behemoth, or there's some scripture. That's a dinosaur, I don't know. But it didn't. The whole framework was to believe in it literally. That's always my thing with religion. Like, believe in it as a set of stories, myths. I don't say that. Myth, to me, is not a bad word. Stories are very important. It's how we make sense of our life, right?
Yeah. But what happens is, the myth gets passed on from one generation to another. Some things are added to it. Some things are taken out of it. And, every generation has a set of beliefs, and they're not necessarily the same as the beliefs that another population group might have.
Right.
And that's where the argument begins, that's where the conflict begins.
Yeah.
Religion, organized religion was the dominant governance of communities at one time.
I only learned that a couple of years ago, reading the history of Germany and religion was preeminent above government.
Yeah.
It told the government, you had to have the permissions of the religious authorities
in order to
rule, to be legitimate,
Exactly.
They combined themselves with the kings and the whatever and the whole that system,
But when you go back to the human condition prior to civilization, the first humans, when did they emerge, and where and how?
Yeah.
When you're thinking about our population, Homo sapien, there's evidence that it goes back, the emergence of Homo sapien, almost 1 million years.
Do we really go back that far?
Yeah. Almost 1 million years.
I always wonder about that.
Yeah. And prior to that, there were pre-humans that were walking upright and, emerging to what we became.
Yeah.
But the human population, Homo sapien, And the Neanderthal population did share a period of
I've read about
time
that. Yeah.
together, and our branch of the human family continued, and the Neanderthal branch
Something happened to the
didn't.
Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's said, and it has been studied, that in human evolution, the two did interbreed,
Yeah, I've read that.
and
There's like 1% Neanderthal DNA in people.
most humans,
Most people. Yeah.
and it was at the time when we were leaving Africa and spreading out around
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
The Neanderthals.
We ran into the Neanderthals who were like in Europe, maybe?
Yeah.
Living in the cold.
Yeah.
Especially if it was after, well, I don't know if it would have been after the Ice Age, because it might
Well, that was only 10,000 years
Yeah, that
ago,
was
the
only
last
10,000
ice age.
years. So it was not then. Although it could have been a previous Ice Age.
Yeah, there are cycles where
Yeah.
ice ages did occur in the past.
But,
As did mass extinctions,
yeah. Right. Well, the dinosaurs.
That was 65 million years ago.
Oh, wow. So, but there were mammals around.
There were
No hominids, of course.
There were mammals that survived the mass extinction event 65 million years ago.
Yeah, scrappy little
And
guys.
the ones that survived eventually evolved to us. There was an early pre-human that was found in Olduvai,
Oh, yeah. I studied this in anthropology.
Tanzania.
Right, okay.
That was Lewis and Mary Leakey were the anthropologists that did their studies out there in Tanzania. And I think it was in that region where they found a humanoid type, early pre-human. And they called her Lucy because at the time they were listening to the Beatles. Lucy in the Sky.
Yeah, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, yeah.
So they named this thing Lucy. And they were, since then, I think that was in the 60s. But since then, this whole thing with DNA has really emerged full blown, and they were able to do. Scientists were able to do a DNA search in practically every population on Earth, and Lucy's DNA is part of all of us.
It's in all of us.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that tells you something.
Mama Lucy.
Nice. Yeah, that tells you something.
Yeah, we all came out of some area, or Africa.
Out of Africa.
We know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the colder climes, the lighter skin.
Was an adaptation.
And the
in order to
lighter eyes, the blue eyes.
To take in more sunlight.
Yeah.
And
but people,
vitamin D and all that. Yeah.
It's the determining factors are heredity and environment. That makes us who we are, what we are. Those combination, heredity and environment.
That's
So what's passed on from your parents and the environment.
Genetics
and you're in the environment that allows you to change.
Yeah.
If you move to another environment, the next generation will eventually change. And I think that most people realize that even though we have these physical differences, we're all the same. We're all the same species. We're all the same family.
Yeah, the same family, ultimately. That's what we are. We just don't see it like most of us don't seem to see it like that. But
and why is that? where did the hostility between species?
The Tower of Babel, according to the Bible.
That's where it started?
You know, culture, language, religion, politics. I guess different tribes became, while similar in many universalities, but different tribes became different enough. Like most tribes I read in anthropology class, most tribes view themselves as the people. That's usually what their name means.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ones, the ones who are, basically the people. And they, like, when they see some other tribe they're not used to seeing, and they just, the first interactions tend to be fear. They attack.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, they're not the people.
Hostility.
Yeah, hostility. Even though, of course, it's weird. They don't see them as, oh, they're like us. But there's enough of a tribal difference. Although it's amazing. I guess the Native American tribes didn't necessarily attack early settlers on sight. I mean, some of them did, actually, I guess. Yeah. But it varies.
Yeah, well, I think after feeling the threat of what was going
realized what was going on.
You know? Yeah. When I read about what happened with the Seminole Indians when the Spaniards came.
Yeah.
Christians.
Pretty brutal.
You know,
Christians,
yeah.
I know.
Baptized them and then cut off their hands and feet.
Why did they do that?
Yeah.
They were Christians then once they'd been, and what was the point of cutting off their hands and feet? Jesus, that's just...
Because they baptized them first and then sent them to heaven.
Oh, they just wanted to kill them off. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't...
But can you imagine?
Christ. That's bonkers. I don't get it. Yeah.
You know,
but they certainly didn't see them as human beings then.
No.
Well, they baptized them though?
They baptized them.
It's like, on some level I understand this is a person, but on another level, they're not one of us. They're the others. So.
They're the others.
Yeah. That's what we're dealing with in human history.
Yeah.
Tribal thinking, not
everybody, I get to talking to Pete sometimes, and he gets on this whole thing about the Nazis and the genocide and these Japanese, what they did in Nanking during World War II, and what the Nazis did to the Jews, and I kind of redirect them sometimes, and I say, Pete, look what happened right here in our country.
Yeah.
I said, we wiped out a whole continent of native people, the animals that they depended on living.
Yeah.
There's a photograph down in the Fairbanks Museum. It's a pile of buffalo skulls.
Well, that's weird. I was just looking at that photo. Well, a photo of buffalo skulls the other day.
As big as a house.
Yeah.
And the guys are standing on top of it.
It's like a two-story house. There's a guy up on it.
Yeah.
And it's just thousands and thousands of
buffalo.
They were just like, why even do that? I mean, unless they were trying to exterminate.
Yeah. To exterminate the Indians. That was their...
What I learned when I was a kid was that people just like shooting out of the train. They were having fun. They were just,
so many of them.
Shooting. Yeah, there were so many buffalo running around. Wild bison.
Yeah, to get the railroad across the country. That's what they did.
Right. It was, okay, maybe they were in the way a little bit, yeah.
And it's something that the Indians depended on.
Absolutely.
For their livelihood.
Yeah, all those Plains Indians, that was how they lived. Buffalo skins and food and...
I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take to get us back together again, somehow. Or if it's even possible,
I don't know either. Is it possible? I mean, I can't answer that. Religion tends to divide and can reinforce the tribalism. Politics clearly political ideology, I feel is very dangerous. I'm more scared of that than even religion, although I know from history how dangerous religion.
Yeah, well, religion started it, politics just picked up on it.
Yeah,
Politics saw how great a force it could be.
Exactly. Yeah.
In order to win over a certain segment of people, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, look what happened. Look what happened in classical Greek civilization. In the city of Alexandria.
Yeah.
In Egypt.
Right. I didn't realize that was the history until you talked about it.
You know,
I thought there was a fire. Oops. We burned all the books. I didn't realize it was part of a religion.
There was 5,000 years of the collected history of the world.
Right.
Of the known world.
Right.
People came from all over.
Yeah.
North Africa, Europe, Middle East. They came from all over to Alexandria. It was the greatest city in the world at the time. And because Hypatia was a woman and a teacher,
right,
and a philosopher and a scientist and all these different things, the church, they couldn't tolerate her. They could not tolerate the truth. That's what it boiled down to. They couldn't tolerate the truth because it was diametrically opposed to what they were teaching.
A different truth, or it didn't. It wasn't according to their framework. So it was false. It was evil, and it was dangerous.
So she was declared a heretic.
Yeah.
And, you know, at one time, you know, the Greeks, the people that came from different parts of the world, they considered her actually to be a living goddess.
Really?
Yeah.
It's weird how I never learned about her in school.
My fourth grade teacher told us about her.
Really? Crazy.
And then I never heard of her again.
Yeah. That teacher was into some different shit.
Yeah.
What century did she live? When did all this happen? The burning of the...
370 to 415 A.D.
So it's like the 4th century.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So the church was already... Oh, yeah, the church was pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cyril was the bishop.
Yeah.
And he commanded a group of zealots. And they waited for her and murdered her.
And this is what historians consider this the beginning of the Dark Age?
Exactly.
Dark Ages?
Yeah. Because after they murdered Hypatia, they went and burned the library, and the collected knowledge of the world was destroyed.
Right. The idea of having one central hub with all the every book, pretty much.
Yeah. Every book, every scroll, every story.
Egypt, the Hellenic, the Greeks, the Roman knowledge.
Yeah, there was a few little scraps that were left that didn't burn. I believe Homer, some of the works of Homer were discovered that hadn't been burned.
Yeah, those were discovered sort of earlier. Seems like before maybe even the Renaissance. I don't know, maybe not.
And then, you know, what? 1,500 years later, or 1,300 years later, Columbus sailed across to the New World.
Yeah.
And Eratosthenes had already determined that the world was a sphere.
Right.
And that by sailing west, you could reach India.
Yeah.
But North America was in the way. So, of course, Columbus was on his way to India, to the Indies.
He bumped into North America. And
he got credit for discovering America, but he didn't really discover America. The Vikings were
there. There were people living there. But yeah, but also, yeah, the Vikings, that's right, that's interesting history.
Yeah, we don't know anything about, about that population and their discoveries.
They have a history, they have a,
yeah.
Well, obviously, they have a literature, to some degree, I guess. But yeah, there's been culture like that probably tries to. I mean, what remains of these people? There's
yeah. But look how things can be set back.
Oh yeah.
The human condition, the journey that we're on. Look how it can be set back and diverted because of some other belief that this other population has.
Well, beliefs are dangerous things, right?
Yeah.
A belief system, but it's also a great motivator and a great uniter for like a family or a tribe or a group.
Even for a nation.
Even for a nation, yeah.
Because if you have a belief system that is open and willing to accept change,
yeah,
as change occurs, then the belief system evolves. It's like what they always told us in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a living constitution.
Yeah.
Adaptable to the times.
Oh, okay. I've heard that. I don't fully understand it. Yeah.
Designed to change.
Right.
Designed to be altered.
Adapt.
The amendments.
The culture. Oh, well, for sure. That's why we have the Bill of Rights. It's an ongoing thing that can be amended.
So you have a belief that all men are created equal. That's the great ideal.
Yeah.
We're not living up to it, but because the ideal is there,
at least the ideal is there, yeah.
We can eventually work up to it.
Maybe we can get there.
Maybe we can get there.
Yeah.
But
which is, and then I would say progress in terms of human history, right? That's a step forward.
Yeah. Well, how do you measure the progress? How do you measure the progress of the world? You measure it by what we do, not just what we say. By what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just think at this point in time, Jay, we are at the cusp of a extreme paradigm shift.
Well, we need a paradigm shift.
Because we can't just continue to go along the way we are.
So destructive as a species, so tribal, so tribalistic in our thinking. I happen to not see much of the current progressive movement as like a good thing, because I feel like it's gone into weird territories of PC culture and controlling language, and there's kind of a mob mentality in some social media, like on Twitter and stuff, where it's this one said something bad, racist, against the rules, get rid of, cancel him, don't let him have a platform and all that stuff. There seems to be something in humans that turns towards some kind of absolute belief system. It's like we're wired for war, we're wired for tribalism.
I don't know.
An in-group, and then if there's an in-group, well, there's got to be an out-group.
When you use that term, we're wired for, I think that we are able to change the program, so to speak.
Yeah.
I
want to be able to.
There's more software available. To program, to upgrade,
update the hardware the program,
upgrade,
upgrade the program.
There's more software available out there. We just have to look for it, know what to accept, know what to reject.
Right.
And I think the truth always resonates.
Yeah. I think I see that with my kids. They're just trying to navigate this world, which is so complicated.
Oh my God.
And so always changing, and they're just like, this year 2020 has brought that into perspective. Like, they're trying to figure, okay, there's a pandemic. This country of America is like having some sort of a nervous breakdown, like, which I don't know, I never thought I would see. I always just assumed, well, America, we got
all
it together.
Americans.
We're Americans.
Yeah.
We're always going to have each other's backs.
Not
We're
so.
never going to stop being fellow Americans. That's
You got to watch what you
priority
say.
number one. Yeah.
You got to watch what you say
Right.
around your neighbor.
Yeah.
You got to watch what you say around this group.
And I hate that so
And this
much.
group
I hate that more
is
than
at odds with this group.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes me crazy. It's like, yeah, but always before we had the same divisions and we had the same history. We had the same terrible, bloody history that left all those repercussions, right? You know? The traumas of slavery and
Yeah.
genocide of the Native
Yeah.
Americans. But it's like now we're willing to say these things are like a deal breaker. It's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be a country. Maybe we shouldn't be. Like, you know, like maybe it seems like there are elements in society that are like, let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, which never occurred to me that could ever even be possible, which is kind of silly, I guess.
I'll give you
Other countries have gone through that.
give you a
It's falling
hint.
apart.
Give you a hint. Look on your search engine, whatever you use. Mae Jemison.
Mae Jemison? Okay. M-A-E?
Yeah.
I think I've almost seen that name.
And look at her 100-year starship. That's something that she's working on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look it up.
100-year starship.
She's got a spaceship ready to go?
It's something that she's been working on theoretically about the next major step in human evolution.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's to step out beyond the confines of the Earth.
I'll read about it.
Yeah, and I guess it's a Starship plan. I don't know what else to call it. But
Cool.
she's a pretty intelligent woman. And certainly the next step in human evolution will be, I believe, to leave this planet and to colonize another world.
Yeah, but aren't we just going to fuck up
Wherever we go?
any planet that we go to?
Could be. But there's so many opportunities out there to get it right
Yeah.
that maybe in one of our journeys we will eventually get it right.
Interesting. I always thought of America as our chance to get it right. I gotta go.
Yeah, it was. On this planet, it sure was. But we can see what happened with that.